Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll.
Welcome back. It's another episode of Cageside. Not a fantastic weekend for myself and fellow Philly MMA audience, and we are going to get to that in this episode. We're back with another MMA news style of show that you've come to expect in the last several weeks. Thanks for joining us. Make sure while you're here, you're subscribing, you're hitting all the likes and the shares and the buttons and commenting and doing all that good stuff to help the show continue to grow. Today I'm very excited because this will probably be a thing we continue moving forward, and it's featuring a new partner of the show here. It's Mr. Yaret Vasquez, otherwise known as the Octagon Doctor. Welcome, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Man, happy to be here. I'm pumped and excited to get this MMA talk rolling.
Let's tell some of the people here a little bit about you. We came together recently in an episode with Chente in Puerto Rico where we talked about the Masvidal drama. So we're back at it again. This time we're going to break down some current events as well.
Absolutely, yeah. That was if people don't know who Chente is, he's the biggest influencer in Puerto Rico. I mean, he has more views than a lot of channels locally in the island. So he's one of the top figures, and I'm one of the responsible figures of putting the MMA poison in his brain. So I'm super pumped about that. And we were talking on that podcast. By the way, how shitty was my phone that day?
I mean, brother, I don't know what type of service you're using, but it certainly froze up on you about 20 times throughout the episode.
Yeah, the actual phone. While I was driving, I was going back. I have my own clinic, and I was driving back from my clinic to my home, and I sat my phone in the dashboard supposed to listen to music. I totally forgot about it. It's a very sunny day in Florida. So when Chenta texted me, he's like, "Oh, just jump on. There's gonna be someone else." And I'm like, "Oh man!" I just pulled up in a Wendy's parking lot, and I felt the phone hot, and I'm like, "It'll be fine." As soon as I opened my mouth, boom! It started to say the phone's too hot. It's never done that, so it was pretty funny.
I love how on the biggest platform from Puerto Rico, we're relying on Wendy's parking lots to cover the MMA world, which is
exactly.
But we do what we got to do because we love the sport. So listen, on my behalf, thank you for getting Chente, involved in that. He has a voice that will spread the sport over there like probably nobody else. So thanks for doing your part in that. I think it's going to be the biggest sport at some point followed in Puerto Rico, or at least at the same level as boxing. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to play a big part in that. And I linked up with Chente since I've been producing content for MMA for about 8 years. I'm a internal medicine physician and a ringside doctor, so I actually work fight shows. I've worked Fight Pass, fight shows, King of the Cage, boxing pay-per-views, you name it. I've been a doctor on them. So it was quite unique, my position at the time. There's other doctors now on YouTube, but I was the only Puerto Rican one, and I always tag a whole bunch of people. But Chente was the first one to actually reach out and tell me, "Hey, man, that's really cool what you're doing, representing for the island and representing for Puerto Rico. Let's do something." So we've been friends for a little while now, for over a year. So yeah, it's like you said, I believe that's a crucial key in getting the UFC, along with Anuel and Fabian Eli. Those are the main ingredients, brother.
So I'll tell you a little bit of what I was trying to do a little while ago, which I'm still hoping to do. It's just the show kind of took a little bit of a turn, so we're going to work that out. But I'm very close here with a couple main gyms that are pumping out the best talent out of Philly for the UFC. I want to take John Marquez, who's the coach for one of those gyms, along with Daniel Gracie, and they work together, man. They got some form of magic that is just cranking out really, really solid, well-rounded fighters. So what I want to do is I want to go to Puerto Rico and start off with a small little, maybe like a weekend-long thing where some of the UFC guys from here, like the Sean Brady's or the Pat Sabatini's or the Andre Petroski's, right? So I can, bring those guys along with their coaches to Puerto Rico and connect there with, us who are trying to grow the sport right over there, but then also some of the young talent over there, just so they can see kind of some of the tools and kind of learn unique ideas that maybe they're not exposed to over there, as just an introduction to growing the sport and to building that little by little. So hopefully that comes soon.
That's an important part of the game. We had the blessing of having John Danaher live in Puerto Rico for the past 10 months. He moved to Texas. There was some problems, putting a school together, and there was one of his top students. The name escapes me right now. Even GSP spent a couple of weeks there in Puerto Rico. So the island's kind of growing a little bit. Masvidal went to the island to be on Chente Drash's show. So it's those little steps are very important. But I'm telling you right now, the problem in Puerto Rico is the Departamento de Recreación y Deporte, the commission, because there's not an MMA commission or an athletic commission per se. So it's the recreations and sports department of the government. They are as corrupt as it gets. And if we don't fix that and we don't get any new structure, any new blood in there, MMA it's dead before being born in the island. So yeah, and I'm gonna link you up with a good friend of mine. I consider family, Wilfredo from Royalty Combat, and having a podcast with him. He had one of the promotions, amateur promotions, Royalty Combat. But matter of fact, I think I have the last belt somewhere in the house here. And he can tell you very detailed why MMA has failed in the island. So that's an interesting podcast to have as well. So
I would love to do that. I think also it matters creating the attention. So, once you build the interest in the sport that's big enough to make the big guys want to come to the island, that might speed up the process of fixing that. And obviously, I'm speaking from a very high perspective without knowing all the details. So that podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
But you
had the right mindset, my brother. You have the right mindset. Let me show you something real cool. This is the last belt that it's a little worn, a little battle worn, but
Is your camera on like a 360 spinning gimbal?
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, this is dusty, but it's still a throwback. Yeah, hold on.
Let's see.
Hold on. There we go.
Oh,
look at that beauty right there. Royalty Combat.
That's an elegant belt, man. And it is worn. It makes it even better. Look at that beauty.
Yeah. It has blood, sweat, and tears in it. It's a real belt. And this was one of the most successful promotions in the island, Royalty Combat.
Okay.
And Wilfredo had approximately 15 shows. Okay. In a year and a half span, which is the first time it has been done with so much frequency, to give fans, something to look forward to. But, he was met with many hurdles along the way. So, he had to move. He moved to Vegas now. I'm going to, connect you to him so you could have a good talk to him, because he's an interesting podcast. And he's a crucial person to learn from his experience when you want to kind of dig your heels in the sand of MMA back home in Puerto Rico. You definitely have to talk to him.
And we're kind of workshopping this live on the show. But so another person that I'm very, very close to who supported the show from day one is Rob Haydek, who's the president of CFFC. So that's the biggest regional promotion locally here. But they've become really the gatekeepers for talent, professional talent to go into the UFC. So that's the first phone call they make is to him, for last minute replacements. And a lot of these guys are entering the UFC through that door, and they put on, high level, very, very well put together productions. And they have a contract with UFC Fight Pass, which is they air all the events. So maybe that is the type of thing to start it off in Puerto Rico, which might be to start the first CFFC promotion in Puerto Rico, start doing the show, start getting the people interested, and then link that up. Anyway, we'll leave all that to another time, and probably not on the show. But so let's get into the MMA news world here. Our boy and close show friend Chris Daukaus does not get the win.
I love Chris Daukaus, man.
Heartbreaking to us and to anybody who sees the potential in him. Let's take a look to see what happened, and then I want to hear your take on it.
I mean, that is a sickening thing.
Man,
Yeah.
Just
Tough.
Chris Daukaus, beast of a fighter. I always compare him to Fedor Emelianenko, the way he casts his punch, and his punches, his hooks. So I've been very excited about both the Daukaus brothers since they got into the UFC through the Contender Series. So it's unfortunate, but I do see that, last December, Daukaus fought the Black Beast and got knocked out. I'm telling you, as a physician, let me tell you something. When you turn around a fighter that was KO'd in 3 months, that means you're dipping him again to sparring. You're sending him to training. It's not the right decision. Chris Daukaus is a great talent, and I believe he should have been rested just a little. And these guys are all tough, and they're all gritty, especially people out of Philly. And he's tough dude, no doubt. But the science of a heavyweight, that had that knockout against and took some damage against Derek Lewis, when you put him back in there, the threshold for a knockout will be lower. So right now we're looking at a great talent, still a great talent. I don't think he loses any clout or any push. I think him and his brother have been like the Miller brothers back in the day. Remember Jim?
No, of course.
And Dan Miller. So they are the new Miller brothers. So I think that gimmick stays even through these 2 losses. But I think it was great for this guy, the guy who knocked him out. It was great because we were seeing an improvement in striking.
Yeah.
But for Daukaus, not so good. I love the knockout, but as a physician, I want to see Daukaus take a 6-month no contact break, just focus on technique, jiu-jitsu, whatever, anything else other than lacing up gloves, putting a mask, and throwing hands. He has to have a brain rest.
Can you do me a favor and explain to me the reason, like the medical reason for why the brain isn't able to take damage, like you said, as well when you're that close to your last concussion?
Yeah, the problem is, first of all, there's concussions that you might suffer playing football, playing baseball, playing soccer. Actually, the sport with the highest concussion rate is female soccer in college. But when you're talking about a 250 plus athlete putting a solid punch and knocking you out in a blistering way like Derek Lewis did, what happens in the brain? You think of the brain as a network of connected cables. When the brain is moving inside the head, it's a jelly in there, so it's moving around, thrashing inside the cavity of the skull. What matters is what happens microscopically. Those connections between neurons are being severed. They have multiple connections. It's not just one cable connected to another neuron. It's multiple arrays of cables. So those neurons are shearing and are breaking. Some of them can be repaired. You can't grow new neurons, but those connections can be repaired, and those sheared axonal structures can be somewhat repaired. It takes time. It takes fish oil. It takes CBD. But most of anything, it takes rest. You can't be taking what we call subconcussive blows. Let's say you got knocked out. After that, what's a subconcussive blow? Anything done at any type of athletic activity that is very brisk. So jumping, running at a clip. So you want to keep your body rested, keep the inflammation level low, and allow yourself 6 months, because when you're jumping in there 3 months, You know, it's too little time, and we've seen it time and time again with heavyweights that make a quick turnaround. It's never good. It's never good. You have 170s, 155. You can make a quick turnaround. Still the brain. It's still not a good thing. But in heavyweights, it's the worst decision ever.
So to be kind of clear for us non equally smart folks, when they've been severed, you haven't allowed them time to fully heal. So
Exactly.
when you get another blow to the head,
It's easier.
it's
The
easier
brain.
for them to separate again because they haven't formed a full structure.
Exactly. It's almost like a protective reflex. So your body has been attacked. Your brain has been attacked. Your body goes limp in a protective fashion, in a protective manner. So you do it at an earlier. The body is like, hey, if we keep doing this activity, we're gonna have serious damage. Let's just disconnect.
Right.
Hopefully the threat goes away, and we live to fight another day. Um, but the brain is it's the connection severed, but there's also an inflammatory reaction. Like when you, let's say you get caught in a shoulder lock, somebody pops it out, we're having physical damage there. But there's also a chemical response in the joint, inflammation gets swollen. Same as in the brain. You have the physical disconnection of the structures, and then you have the chemical reaction, which is the inflammation. That's why you get knocked out really bad. You woke up, you don't remember. I hearken back to the image of Ben Askren walking out of the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Like what the
Confused
hell?
as shit. Yeah,
Just somebody grabbing him by the arm, and he's dazed. He's not himself. That's the knockout. The concussion and the post-concussive syndrome
Mm-hmm.
is what happened days, weeks, if not months after that, which is the inflammatory reaction. You have a whole bunch of pro-inflammatory molecules, so interleukin, bradykinin, substance P, substances that usually cannot penetrate the brain under normal circumstances. But when the brain is hurt and the filter, all these structures filter out what can, you can only have oxygen and sugar in the brain. It filters out everything else, proteins and inflammatory molecules really well. But once that brain is under all that stress, a whole bunch of stuff goes in there. That's We don't have a time frame for everybody on how long it's going to take for you to
Right.
be back to 100% in the fight game. So you have to allow ample time to recover. I mean, he went out like that. I mean, it's a beautiful shot.
And by the way, we're talking about, he was going to land the same shot on Curtis. So we're talking about a split second difference, timing. I mean, you can't really say that Chris did anything wrong. He just wasn't the one in that moment to land. It was Curtis. So it could have gone the same way, to Blaydes. So, well, that's a good explanation for it. I don't think we've ever seen it that way, which, by the way, makes it a little bit scarier. So,
It does.
when you really analyze it, makes me want to fight less. But luckily, I don't fight, so it's all good. Let's take a look at what happened afterwards.
Is there anything you want to say to him as a former champion and a guy that lives at the top of the division?
Hey, I want to be just like you, Stipe. That means I may have to beat you, but I definitely respect the hell out of you. You're one of the best in the world, best of all time in the division. I respect the hell out of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your winner, Curtis Razor Blaydes.
Listen, I'll tell you my thought process before the fight began. Chris Daukaus has been calling out Stipe for a while and hasn't been in the position to get that fight. And we know that Stipe is difficult anyway, as far as who he wants to fight and wanting to get the belt only for his next bout. But Chris Daukaus is a retired police officer from Philadelphia. So the win would have been the perfect scenario where Chris wins, says, Stipe, you're in the audience, fireman versus police department, let's fucking do it. That would have been
epic.
Perfect.
That would have been the most epic call out. And I'm already mourning the loss of those embedded episodes of police versus firemen. I mean, my dad is a retired paramedic. So, the building where he worked, back home, it was police, firemen, and paramedics. And the shit talk in the gym of that place was
Yep.
epic.
Bro,
Epic. So
I mean, it's we all respect them as first responders the same way, and then I think they respect each other. But that rivalry will forever be so.
oh, they're competitive. Oh.
Yeah, so to have made that, and I feel like that would have been enough juice to get that fight to happen for Stipe.
Man.
But maybe another time. I thought it was actually a really good night of fights. This is another solid victory for somebody I like.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Gary Copeland has called a stop to this contest at 3 minutes, 57 seconds in the very first round. Declaring the winner by submission due to a rear naked choke, Alexa Grasso!
All right, so how impressive was it that Grasso, not only a really good striker, decides to get her first submission win against somebody as tough as Joanne, now not Calderwood, by the way, Joanne Wood, to make it more confusing. Joanne Wood. I was confused.
She eliminated the Calder.
I thought they cut her name down just to make it easier, and then I'm like, oh, her husband's name is Wood. Okay, what are the odds that was the case? What did you think? What did you make of that win?
Man, it was great. I mean, Jojo Calderwood or Jojo Wood, he doesn't get finished a lot, so it was a statement. It was a statement. It was a solid statement. I thought that Wood looked. She was so lackadaisical on the ground. Her defense was so. She was so relaxed, so she didn't care, and the choke was synced beautifully and tight. You could see the surprise in JoJo's eyes. She's like, "Oh snap! This is deep. I'm gonna have to tap." So it was very impressive. There a lot of people grab the back, and they pussyfoot around for so long and bring the other one. And this was solid. This was fast, and I loved it. It's a statement.
Yep, I think it was a statement. I think it was the right matchup for her to get up there. So I don't know who's next for her, but I thought that was a very solid performance. Another solid performance that honestly, I love when I get surprised. I didn't even know Neil Magny was fighting, but what the hell?
Bro, Dana White, Khamzat Chimaev, I'm ready to go. I've been chasing this fight for over a year. It still hasn't happened yet. Khamzat Chimaev, I'm coming for you.
So Neil Magny comes down and trains at the gyms that I'm telling you about here in Philly a lot. So we get a chance to see just how good in season he is as a fighter. I listen, that's the call out to make. Khamzat's about to fight in 2 weeks. You're going to be there to see it. I think if he beats Burns, Neil Magny's not going to get that fight at that point because then we're talking, big leagues. But if he does happen to lose, or I don't know, it's a decision, maybe Neil Magny gets it. But I thought it was a good call out because he has been saying it that he's been wanting that fight. So.
Magny, what a veteran. There's veterans in the game, and then there's people like Jim Miller, and then there's people like Neil Magny, like Cowboy Cerrone, and all these guys that have fought so many times. It's daunting to think, a record of 26-9, people with 30 fights. It's ridiculous, but it's cool to see. I've met Magny before in Iowa when I lived in Iowa. He, his team flew there a couple times for different shows. I believe a couple of the caged aggression shows that are done in the Quad Cities. Real cool dude, real down to earth, real salt of the earth dude. So I was happy seeing him. I got scared shitless in the first round. I mean, Max Griffin almost flash knocked him out. But that shows the durability and the level of veteran of Neil Magny. Many fighters with a knockdown like that, it's curtain calls. But Neil just gritted back, bit on his mouthpiece and did the damn thing.
And anti-GSP, right, for most wins in the UFC?
Yeah.
Or in that weight division?
In that weight division. I mean,
what a stud, dude.
That solidifies his status for maybe, being an inductee in the Hall of Fame for his wins. I mean, he 26-9. I mean, it's not a super great record, but you see Masvidal and his record, he has double-digit losses already, and he's a bona fide star, one of the best contracts I mean, we haven't had the specifics of his new contract, but you know, they say that it's one of the better contracts right now in the UFC. So
it's one of those things that the nice guys and the guys who don't make too much noise just don't get the star treatment, don't get the star fights, don't get the star money, man. It's unfortunate. And they have the option, right? They can do it if they want to do it. So if you choose to be who you are and not change to be able to get that and not sell the soul to the devil, then good for you. But just don't think that it's going to come by, you know, as easy as for other guys, like you're saying with Masvidal and the record comparison there. So
exactly.
Neil, the call out was good. Let's keep it going.
The call out was great.
Let's keep it going. Yep.
Kamsat's a beast. I mean, we are literally a couple of days from having that breakthrough moment of Kamsat, and there's a threshold, right? The threshold's here, you know, boom, off to the races, Conor McGregor status, or you know, Khabib Nurmagomedov status, fame. Gilbert Burns is in the way, and people are seeing him as the litmus test. I believe Gilbert Burns is the Chad Mendes of what Chad Mendes was for Conor McGregor. Gilbert is for Khamzat, and Khamzat Chimaev, if he finishes, it's off to the races of superstardom. This is the most exciting fight. I've been looking forward to this moment, capturing this lightning in a bottle moment. I'm all for it. I'm super excited for it.
And I think you're 100% right. And Khamzat has that star power that we're talking about. Neil Magny, not, you know, he just has that bravado about him that all he needs is to get that check mark with that Burns fight, and that's it. Khamzat becomes a straw.
He's a dog. I mean, Neil Magny is not gonna, you know, but the Leech, you know, is a type of a strong fighter like that, and Khamzat was able to put him away like nothing. But I think Neil has more fight in him. Gilbert Burns. It's one of those others. When I'm wondering, when was Burns' last fight? Gilbert's.
I think he had only one after Usman, right? He had a win after Usman.
He had a win. Yeah, he fought Wonder Boy. Yeah, that was in July. Oh, so he's good. You know, he's rested. He's well rested, so he should be okay.
Right. There's no excuses here. Right.
No excuses. Brain fully healed.
Doctor approved. All right. So I can't wait to ask you about this. This is how we're going to start closing out the show. What the best strike of the week, in my opinion, you know.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay?
I just got chills. Uncomfortable again and chills. I was so confused with this shit because I never usually like finish these award shows. I'll watch them a little bit and then, you know, I'll trail off. We somehow caught this live and we're so confused by what the fuck was happening. You know, was it real? Was it not real? Was it staged? Was it not staged? But then Will Smith goes to win the Oscar for the best actor performance or whatever. He then goes on to, like, you know, cry and apologize and this. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're believing this. I guess this is real.
Oh yeah.
Did he connect?
That was smooth and that was fast, and you could hear the thud of the slap in the microphone. I saw the hyper slow version, the HD, and he connected fast, and he turned his body into that slap. So the technique was beautiful. I mean, Chris Rock didn't see it coming, and just boom, it was beautiful. But that, for me, I was raised. You know, I'm a physician. You know, I have a nice life right now, but I was raised in a public housing project in Puerto Rico, on the south side of Puerto Rico, Residencial La Ceiba, and from very little, we learned this the hard way. You know, in life, sometimes things are gonna have consequences. They might not be right. They might not be right. No one, I mean, no one likes to see anyone get slapped. But in the current temperature of society, in social media has made people, and you know, Mike Tyson has famously said this a couple times in different podcasts. You know, social media has made people too comfortable, you know, talking about people's sensitivities a little bit more. And Will Smith, you know, felt some type of way. He was offended. And that's what happens. It's between two men. One man was offended. You know, I have a wife and I have two daughters. Something happens like that. I don't know if I'll react that way, but more likely, yes, if somebody, you know, hurts emotionally somebody that I love, I might do something stupid, but it's a lesson for people. Let's be more understanding. He didn't know if Jada was sick.
Right.
She might have cancer. She has alopecia, but she might have something else that she's not disclosing. And you gotta be more thoughtful with this thing. So I don't condone the doing it, you know, the slapping a guy on TV. That's cold.
But you know, I feel like Chris Rock could have also been a little bit, you know, more thought out with his comedy too, because a G.I. Jane joke, not only is it so out there,
It's out there.
it's you know, it's not that funny. It's just like an easy, low hanging fruit joke. So
Yeah.
you know, so let's start with that. The other weird thing to me, and maybe I'm just, you know, seeing it this way because I guess, you know, because of being Puerto Rican or whatever, but that happened between two black men on a huge platform, massive celebrities, massive stars, a very likable Will Smith. I love Will Smith. Everybody likes Will Smith, right? Especially
Who
from Philly.
doesn't? I mean,
But don't you think that if a guy from Spain, and I'll say Spain because usually those are the people who are nominated for foreign films or whatever in the Oscars, right? Let's say somebody as an example, or Mexico. If that guy got pissed at whoever was making a comment on stage and goes up there and smacks the shit out of him, I feel security would have been called. I feel more chaos would have happened. And I feel honestly that if he won the Oscar, not only would he not be given the chance to talk, he would probably get it removed, like taken back. People would be calling for the award to be taken back.
yeah.
Am I wrong for thinking that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And more than anything, I mean, I think someone of Hispanic heritage, Latino, like us, or would have gotten away with it in terms because they wouldn't know. You know, they're so afraid of being politically correct. Look what they did. So it's the politically correctness is so ingrained in these people in Hollywood, in California, in that culture, in that world, that they're like, oh, you know, they have to allow it, they have to leave it. It's too, you know, two African American men doing this, we can't, you know. But if it was, let's say, a white person doing that, it would have been curtain call. If it was, you know, Bradley Cooper, you know, slapping the shit out of Chris Rock, he's never going to work in town again.
Exactly. That's my
He's
point.
never going to work in town again. So
And it would have
weird.
But it would have had nothing to do with race, is my point.
Mhm,
Like it would have just been Chris Rock making a joke about Bradley Cooper's wife.
correct.
You know? So I don't know. I found there's a lot to it. And I feel like there's a lot of benefits that he was given compared to other folks. But either way, very interesting, very weird. I know they needed ratings, but Jesus Christ, that's not the way to get it.
Yeah. Psychologically, it's weird because when I've seen social media, I've only seen men criticize him. Most women are siding with Will Smith, saying, no, you know, he's defending the honor of his, and
Right.
men are in their feelings right now, which is the weirdest thing.
Interesting.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Well, let's wrap this up by taking a quick look at some of the reactions about this Will Smith scenario, because you know what? Because we love the correct sport. If you notice, there was a big connection this weekend with Hollywood and MMA, because MMA loved it. They were posting about it nonstop. Let's see what we got. I want to pull out one of these, a little Men in Black action there. John Jones decided to talk about this, called him a gangster. John Jones is not one to be given respect to too many people. Cejudo, I got your back. Colby, not so much.
Henry Cejudo wants to train him.
Exactly. Will Smith and then this one's gonna run too quick. Will Smith and Denzel Washington, two bosses in my book. Hold your head up high.
Yeah, a lot of people were calling him the third Diaz brother.
Right. The gangster, dude. Look at that smack. Dan Hardy talking about it.
That's a great follow through.
Exactly. Joe Rogan interviewing Truck immediately after. That's real footage. Bilal getting in there. Daniel Cormier, saying that he's usually not surprised by much these days, but that surprised him. I don't know if I have the Sean Strickland says, fuck Will Smith. I'm shocked that he doesn't agree with somebody. Anyway, it definitely made its rounds in social media. That's all everybody's been talking about on social media and on the major media outlets. So, Will Smith did it again. He won the Oscar and he won the popularity. Brother, let's wrap this guy up. Where can people find you?
Awesome. Well, my social media is I have 2 YouTube channels that have between them almost 400 videos. Explaining injuries. Anytime a significant injury happens, I'll go in there and I'll make a cool video explaining the medical side of it. So I marry those two things, the medical side and MMA, explaining everything that happens in the world of MMA. My channel is, you go under Octagon Doctor for the English channel. And there's another channel, the Mirror channel, which is everything the same, but in Spanish, which is called Dr. Yared Vlog. So Yared Vlog. I'm on Twitter as Dr. Yared, so Dryared, and in Instagram as Octagon Doctor.
Mr. Octagon Doctor, it was a pleasure having you on. We got to keep on doing this. We are going to throw this fucking thing in Puerto Rico and blow it out the water, and we'll continue to make good content for you nice people out there. Everybody, you're here already. You might as well subscribe. You might as well give us a like and a comment and keep this thing moving. Tune in again next week. No fights this weekend, at least no UFC. But then we got a nice pay-per-view coming, and I believe I know somebody who's going to be there live. All right, people.